All right, folks, welcome back to another show. I wanted to welcome my next guest. He's a good buddy of mine, dating back to 1998 when we first met in college.
Jeez.
Today, we're here to talk about his shoe customization business. A true scholar and a gentleman, a great friend. Ladies and gents, I wanted to welcome my boy Christopher Merto on the show. What's going on? What's good?
What's going on, Ro? What's going on, Romilla? How you doing? Thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it. I know it's
Yeah,
really early out there in Hawaii, so
yeah. Thanks for
so
making
thanks for
time,
waking
man.
up. Thanks for waking up.
No, no, not at all, man. It was super easy, man. Hey, before we talk about the awesome thing that you're doing with shoes, I always like to take it back and just go into the person's background. So I'm curious, where were you born? Where you from? Where did you grow up?
Yeah, of course. So I was born in Reno, Nevada. So I am a child of a military father, right? So dad was in the Navy, stationed in Reno, Nevada. I was born there. Moved to San Diego though, when I was about 2 years old.
All right.
So we stayed in San Diego till I was about, or until I went away from college. They're still
Yeah.
there. San Diego has always been home. Grew up in Southeast San Diego. I know you're very familiar
Yeah,
with
yeah.
folks out there in San Diego with their carne asada burritos, carne asada
Hell
fries.
yeah.
That's where it originated, I mean, all of that stuff. So grew up in San Diego. And then that's what after high school, that's when I
Yeah.
went to UC Santa Cruz,
Yep.
right? So
Hey, I
that's
didn't
where
know
we
you were
went.
born in Reno and then so you moved to
Yeah.
San Diego, but you guys never moved from base to base. Your dad was able to stay in San Diego the whole time?
No, no. The family stayed in San Diego. My dad was
Oh,
like living his life. He was like, "All right, guys, I'm gonna go."
yeah.
Um, I think he was stationed in Texas for 3 years, and then
Oh,
he,
yeah,
he did a couple of, uh, he was on the ship for a couple months here and there, going to
yeah. Okay.
Korea, and things like that. So, but he always used San Diego as base, right? So
Yeah.
we were able to just stay there. I have three siblings, three sisters.
Yep.
Um, and so I think that's why, we didn't move around too much just because
Yeah.
it would
Big family.
happen a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
San Diego's a great place, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We eventually met at UC Santa Cruz. I am just a little bit older than you, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I think a
One
year, right?
year.
1 year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you guys were awesome, man. It was great to meet you and just hang out. We got to a lot of craziness over at Santa Cruz, but it was good. And then I know that, after you left school, you did some time with the Peace Corps, right?
Yes. So after
Yes.
I graduated, moved back down to San Diego, was doing odd jobs here and there for about, 8 years.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like tired of just doing random jobs, right? I was doing like sales and marketing and
Yeah.
things like that. And I was just trying to figure out my place in this world after graduating. I like you go to school for so long, right? And there's this expectation that after you graduate, then all of a sudden, you get this job, right? So
Yeah.
that was my expectation, and I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do. I went to college, I
Yeah.
had fun,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a blast, exploring who I am personally and all those things.
Yeah.
And then went back to San Diego, and I felt like I just went back, right? It was like
Right.
my experience in Santa Cruz was my experience in Santa Cruz. Now I'm back in San Diego. All my friends,
Yeah.
jobs, getting married, houses, and then I was like, oh shit, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
Right. And so I decided, I was like, what can I do drastically
Yeah.
where
I
I
know.
could be where I want to be, and take that step, right? And so I joined the Peace Corps. Right. So,
Yeah, but that's a very honorable thing to do, but it's a big decision too because I think you only get a stipend, right? You don't like
yeah.
make a true paycheck, and you're in
Yeah,
the
there's
yeah.
you're yeah, so I joined the Peace Corps. So I was 30 when I joined. Where a lot of people join right after college,
College,
right?
right?
They
Yeah.
join right after college. Everyone's young. So, there's some retired people, right? So a
Okay.
lot of people will join when they're retired too, just because,
Oh, gotcha.
they want to give back, right? They want to share their skilled, expertise, technical expertise to these countries that need it, right? So I joined when I was 30. And yeah, like you said, right, you don't get a paycheck, right? You
Yeah.
you get paid equivalent to what somebody's getting paid in that country, right?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
In wherever whatever site you are, right? So I
Yeah.
was in it was in a remote village. It was kind of like a small town, maybe about 9,000 people. They had two schools. No, actually one school.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so I was just living, it was kind of like living off the land almost,
Yeah,
right?
it was amazing. I really enjoyed the pictures when you were going through that whole journey. And you were in the Ukraine or no?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
was
that's
in
what I thought.
Ukraine. I was in Ukraine, right, maybe about 3 hours east of
Yeah.
the capital, Kiev. Yeah,
When you sign up, is the commitment for 2 years, 3 years? What's the commitment
two
for?
years. It's
Two
2 years.
years.
2
Yeah.
years.
All
So you
right.
do three months of training
Okay.
at a training site, so it's language, it's kind of like
Nice.
learning the culture, kind of what Peace Corps is supposed to be for, right? So it's
Yeah.
about sharing our culture, getting that culture back, and then bringing it back to the States, right? So it's kind of more diplomacy work than anything, right? So
Yeah.
I it's 3 months on at the training site, and then you get and you're with other volunteers, right? So for three
Yeah.
months with other volunteers doing the training site, learning the language, then all of a sudden they kick you out and you're on your own um at your actual site. And so I
Yeah.
did youth development, which is kind of like vague, right? So like like people think you're a teacher, but you're not really a teacher because you
Right. Right.
don't
Right.
have any specific classes that you're teaching. You're not teaching English, but they're
Yeah.
using you to teach English.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like youth development. What does that mean, right? So it's really a way to kind of um, you know, teach uh teach you kind of like life skills almost
Yeah. Sure.
about American culture. A lot of times Peace Corps will, when they have countries that they're helping with, they're either transitioning to kind of like more of a democratic state, or
Yeah.
they're helping like remote villages that don't have sanitation or things like that,
Yeah.
right? So it really depends on where you're going,
Yeah.
what kind of focus you have and things like that. But I loved it. I mean, every second of it.
Yeah, it was great. When we went to school, all I knew was the Chris Merto, and even me, right? Just like drink, doing a rap, and then
Yeah,
just all the bullshit we got into. So it's awesome to see when people like you do these things, and then you go, "Oh, that's the person that he's becoming." It's amazing, right? The transition. He's grown up now. He's doing some real shit, and
right.
so
You're like,
I thought it
oh,
was amazing.
look
Yeah.
at Chris growing up. He's actually doing stuff. I feel like that's my how my dad started looking at me. He's like, oh, no, he's a grown up
No,
now.
vice versa. After I left school
No,
too,
I
I was like, what the fuck am I doing, man? And then I
yeah,
didn't feel
because
like grown up until I joined the army, man. I was like, fuck, I'm just bullshitting.
right.
And
When did you joined? Was it 3 years after you
so
graduated?
later too, 25, right? So
Oh,
25,
okay.
26.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
same thing. I was doing odd jobs and then I did some bio shit, but it was the same shit, right? I was like,
yeah, yeah.
man, I need to do something drastic like you. I need
Right,
something
right,
drastic. And
right.
so that's why I feel like we're similar in the sense that
Yeah,
I mean, in the end, we ended up doing international relations type
right.
jobs that
You
we're
on the
still doing
DoD
today.
side. You
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
he
exactly.
on the USAID side, so it's kind of
Yeah. So that's why I have an appreciation for it. We have the same background where we're both
no, of
military
course, of
brats,
course.
and then we went to school, and then still trying to find our path. And it was a little later because I felt like all my friends, when they graduated from school, they like got into jobs, and then I was like, "Fuck, man, I'm not like locked in yet, man."
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
and I on that drastic thing that I enjoyed loving to do. So it's cool. And I didn't even intend on talking to you about Peace Corps. I just remembered that I was like, "Oh yeah, sir, let me ask him about that." So.
Yeah, and then after the Peace Corps, that's when I decided to get my master's in international development.
Oh, where'd you go to school at?
Small liberal arts
Okay.
school in New York. It's called College of Mount St. Vincent.
Okay.
Because I went to that school, one of the main reasons was because gave you the opportunity to do a semester abroad
Okay.
in the Philippines. That's when I met you
Mm.
again.
Mm-hmm.
Remember? I think that was back in 2015.
14-ish. 14, 15, yeah.
2000, yeah, yeah, yeah. 10
Yeah.
years ago. That's crazy.
Okay. You came
So
to the condo, right? Is that was that time, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I
Damn,
was
that's wild.
living, I went to LaSalle, down on Taft, right?
Damn,
And then
that's
when
cool.
we met up at the museum. I think it was the Ayala.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's right.
because how long were you in the Philippines for?
A year and a half. Yeah.
Dang, for some reason I thought it was like 3 years, four
Yeah.
years. And then you
That
got
was, yeah.
stationed in Hawaii, right?
Yeah, that's right. For 3 years though. I'm sure you were introduced to USAID during your time in the Peace Corps, right? Is that
Yeah.
how you yeah learned about them?
Yeah, yeah. And then so after I graduated with my master's, I moved to DC. I mean, that's
Yeah.
where all the international development jobs are, and then I was able to get a government contract job through an organization that worked with USAID.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. Hey, how do you like living in DC versus San Diego? Very different places.
Very different, very different. Well, I mean, I feel like in San Diego, I mean, San Diego will always be home to me, right? So,
Yeah.
I love it, and my family, all of that. Every time it's funny because every time I go back to San Diego, if I'm living there or even
Yeah.
visiting, I feel like I go back to San Diego, Chris, whoever that is, right? I mean, it's kind
Right,
of like
right,
you
right.
you kind of grow up there and then you just start doing the same things, right? And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that, right? But
No.
but in DC, it's kind of like, I have this personality of, okay,
Yeah.
this is what I built, right? This is what I built with my wife, with my kid,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like when you go back to San Diego, it's kind of like, for myself, it was kind of like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna hang out with my friends, but it's the same way we've hung out since we're in junior high, right?
That's right.
Like, which is great, but I mean, I think for me, it's kind of like always a step. I want to take that step forward, right? It's like,
Yeah.
what's the next step? Um, and I mean, the weather's completely different, right? Right
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
right
I
now
know. It's fucking cold as hell.
it might be 28 degrees Fahrenheit.
It's snowing. It's not snowing there right now, is it?
Hmm?
Not
It was
snowing.
snowing last night.
Oh
And
shit.
so Sunday to Tuesday, there's a weather advisory
Yeah.
for at least 10 inches of snow or something like that.
What?
It's crazy, but
Yeah.
I lived in Ukraine, so I'm used to the
Yeah. Good
snow.
point.
I need to use these snow boots,
Yeah.
or
Wow.
can't use that in San Diego.
Yeah. We just got back from Cali and I was fucking miserable because it was so cold. It wasn't even that cold.
It was just like 65. You're
Yeah.
like, oh shit.
I don't wear a windbreaker and I thought it was freezing. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. That's a great point, man. When you go back home, the other personality of Chris comes out. That's the same thing with me. Like I got to hang out with Billy, Brian, Kelvin, and all those guys.
Yeah, yeah.
The
But
fucking
yeah,
humor, the humor's different too, right?
yeah, yeah.
Right. So I
So
can't talk the same shit at work. What was the last time you went back to San Diego? Has it been a while?
last Christmas,
Oh, okay,
last
not too long ago. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, yeah. And then my family came here for a reunion in July. So typically we would go back every year for Christmas, but since we saw them
Yeah.
over the summer, we were like, eh. So we
Yeah.
went to Finland instead. So
Yeah, that's dope. Helsinki. Did you
crazy.
guys just stay in Helsinki?
No, we went from Helsinki to this town north called Rovaniemi. And Rovaniemi is where Santa's village is. So
Oh, super cool.
um, apparently, to Europeans, Santa originated from Finland in the Arctic
Not in
Circle,
the Philippines, huh?
not the
Oh
Philippines.
shit. My parents were
Uh,
lying.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Wow.
Jesus came from the Philippines, though.
I think so. I think so.
That's why
That's
we
cool. Like,
celebrated. We celebrated in September. We start in September
good point. His
with the
birthday September.
parole, all that stuff.
What inspired it, I guess.
Well, we were like, all right, let's go somewhere for Christmas. We haven't been on a real international trip. we went to Jamaica, which was great, but
Yeah.
I traveled a lot
Yeah.
before getting married and having
That's
a
right.
kid. My wife traveled a lot
Okay.
before, marrying, having a kid. So we kind of
Yeah. It's
like
that travel.
I think she more than me had that urge to be like, let's go somewhere, right?
Oh, that's cool.
And then so originally we were going to go to Iceland, and then her
That's another
former
one of
yeah, her former coworker already, well, they were talking and they're like, she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to Finland with my family." And
okay.
then my wife Taha, she was like, "Send me the itinerary." So she
Okay.
sent the itinerary. And then we're like, "We're gonna do this." But we didn't copy the whole itinerary. We did see them
Cool.
once. But we went. It was fun. It was a
Yeah.
blast. Is a good traveler, you know.
Nice.
I bet, similar to Riley, just
Yeah.
like out and about traveling and things like that, getting used to the planes, trains,
Yeah.
anything like that. So it's drastically different than the way I grew up, right? I didn't my first time out of country was when I was like 18,
Yeah.
right? 19. And I'm not counting Tijuana, right? Because it was right next to San Diego. But
Else.
I think I was 18 or 19
Yeah.
first time to the Philippines. So
Yeah. I forgot to mention you are a well-traveled guy, man. You did a lot of traveling since I've known you. And no, I
yeah.
can see that, man. I get the same way. I have to get that bug out of me where I got to travel and go somewhere. Because I'm like you. You just mentioned that you go on a resort, it's all good. I'm not really satisfied on a resort, man. I want to do the local authentic thing, just go out.
Right, right.
Well, hey, thanks for going into a lot of your background, what you're up to these days, and I want to now
Yeah.
talk about the shoe customization business, man.
Oh
How
yeah.
did you get into it? Because I know are you a sociology major or
It was
social science field?
yeah, social science field. What
Yeah.
was that major? Community studies.
Oh, it is okay.
Do you remember that
Yeah,
one?
yeah, I do. Yeah, it makes
It's,
sense.
and it's funny because people are like, "Oh, why did you choose community studies? Why did you choose Santa Cruz?" I was like, they didn't have any grades, one,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
You remember?
That was the best.
And two, I think it was the fastest way to graduate, right?
Oh,
As
okay.
far as the number of credits that
Oh,
you had to have.
yeah,
So I chose that, and plus, at that time that was my interest, right? It was kind of like,
yeah,
the understanding the why of things, and then also seeing it within the community itself, right?
yeah. It applies to what
Uh,
you're doing now
mhm.
too.
Yeah, yeah, looking at marginalized
Yeah,
communities, how did this happen? Why did this happen? Why does it continue to happen? And what are
yeah.
the things that we can do to kind of mitigate it, right?
Makes
Um,
sense.
and that happens within the US as well as internationally, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
um, that's kind of why I chose the subject. What were we talking about again?
Yeah, no, no. I'm just
June.
curious because I was trying to draw the connection, right? Sometimes, like,
Oh yeah.
did he graduate in art and have an interest in doing something like fashion, doing
No,
shoes?
no.
Well,
It, it
when did that
had
happen? Because I was like, what the fuck?
it
When did he
it
just
just
become
it just
awesome at
all of a
this?
sudden happened.
Yeah.
So during the pandemic, um, a buddy of mine, huge sneakerhead,
Okay.
like, hey, try for these shoes for me, right? So every time, and it was on the app, sneakers app, right?
Okay.
And huge sneakerhead, and he's like, try for these, and then I started hitting on him, and I was like, oh shoot, cool, right? So I just kept buying shoes, right? And this was during the
He
pandemic.
was making his own shoes.
No, 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 no. So on the sneakers app,
Oh, I
there's
see. I see. I'm sorry.
yeah, 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 yeah. So I mean, because it's so hard to get a lot of these shoes,
Yep. Yep.
right? And then so I got addicted to
Okay.
kind of getting all these shoes, right? So I,
Yeah.
I started collecting shoes.
Oh man.
Um, and so during the pandemic, we were living in DC, decided to move to San Diego, um, because one, daycare's expensive here.
Yeah.
Um, and so we moved to San Diego. My mom is retired, so we are able to have her watch the kid while
Yeah.
we work. We were lucky enough to keep our jobs, our DC jobs, and just work remotely in San Diego, right?
Yeah.
So for what was that, 2 years, 2.5 years. We lived in San Diego. And so I just started having a garage full of shoes. And um, I also think the pandemic really helped people find hobbies, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
everyone became a plant person, right? Everyone wanted plants. There were plant zaddies and
Yeah,
people opening up shop. Everyone was doing DIY projects.
yeah,
Everyone doing like Instagram influencers and trying kind of like really creating kind of like this new kind of trend, right?
yeah, sure.
Um, and I think that's when there was like this huge uptick of shoe customization. I think shoe customization has always been there, right? Um, and so because I followed a lot of sneaker heads on
Right.
Instagram, I started seeing like, sneaker customization, right? And then
Okay.
there would be like sneaker painters, and I would look at my shoes and I'm like, and I don't wear any of them, right? They just sit there, right? That's
Yeah.
part of the sneakerhead addiction is like you just keep getting it and then you just let it
Admire
sit,
them.
right? You just admire them and all you're wearing is Crocs, right? So and so I started messing around. I started painting the sneakers, seeing if I
Okay.
could change the colorway, make it look cooler, things like that. I started like hand stitching stuff on the shoes as well. Um,
And you had no background in sewing or anything like that.
no, no,
Painting,
no, no.
nothing.
No, no, no. So I just watched YouTube videos, right?
Okay.
And then I found a class
Ah,
in San Diego. Like luckily it was in San Diego, called SD Customs, um, right? Yes, SD Custom Footwear. And so um, I decided to take the class. Great guy. He at that time sponsored by Monster Energy Drinks.
damn.
And Spont also had a deal with Jack in the Box, right? So
Oh,
he was,
wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So he was doing, these things.
Yeah.
So I took a class with him. And he took a class with this one of the first classes, and I think he also taught with him called the shoe surgeon.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So his name is Dom, so he's kind of like the godfather of sneaker customization. He does
Yeah.
what's that boxer's name? Jake Paul or
Yeah,
uh
yeah. The one that just
yeah,
fought
yeah.
Tyson or
Yeah, that guy.
oh.
He does all his like his wardrobe,
Oh
his
shit.
shoes. So yeah, so I took the class from the guy that learned from that guy. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's how I got into it.
Hey,
I
how long is that class? Is it like a week?
4 days. 4 days.
4 days?
And then in that class you kind of learn kind of the infrastructure of a shoe, right?
Right.
So before I go forward, so sneaker customization, there's painting, right? And there's alteration of an actual shoe.
Okay.
This is kind of like a construction of a shoe, right? So you get let me see if I have a normal shoe. I don't have, so you get like a normal shoe,
Okay.
and then you completely just take it off. Just
Like you unstitch it apart, everything.
no, I mean
I mean,
the way I do it, I cut it off. I just cut off the
okay.
shoe, right? So like this, like
Okay.
it has no sole. So and then we just kind of like toss this to the side. You don't use it, right? So you use a pattern,
Okay.
um, and each shoe, each size, each kind of pattern is different. So this one is a size 7, 8, Jordan 1. So this is the Vamp, right?
Yeah.
So then you trace it onto the leather that you want. I'm working on one right now that I could show you. and then you cut out all the pieces and then you kind of put it together, right? So this is kind of what it starts to look like, right? So you
That's
could tell
amazing.
that this is the it's going to start making the shape of the shoe, right? So you cut up
Wow.
all the pieces, you sew it together, and then you have to last it on a lasting board as well as a last, right? And so when you last it, it looks like this, right? So
That's
this is what
crazy.
creates the mold of the shoe,
Yeah.
nail it on the bottom to create that last, right? And then when you're ready, you kind of like take all the nails out, you skive it,
Yeah.
and it all down. Then you get
The
the
sole from
sole
the shoe, right?
from the original shoe, and then you put it together, right?
So
And then
the exterior of the shoe is not from the shoe that you purchased.
no, no, the
Whoa, I didn't
only
know
thing,
that.
yeah, so
Oh,
the only thing is the sole. The sole is the only thing, right?
oh man.
So, so the shoe that I made you, the only
Yeah.
thing from that shoe was that sole.
So did you paint the exterior black and red? Is that you?
No,
You hand-
so yeah, so I had that leather, and then when I was making your shoe, I was really trying to think, right? Is like, okay, what would represent him
Yeah.
as as an artist as well as an individual, right? So I was trying to think of like different ways of doing that, and I was like, because you grew up in Japan, right?
I
Or you
did.
went to high school, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking of using like Japanese denim,
Yeah. Oh
right?
shit. Might have to
Yeah,
do that
yeah,
for part
yeah.
two.
Yeah, and I was like, and but I couldn't find where I could get it or like
Okay.
Japanese tapestry to tie in that kind of Japanese uh um
Yeah,
your
that's sick.
Japanese kind of like background. And then I was like, well, he is, Phil M
Yeah, yeah.
and you represent that quite well. And then I was like, all right, I still have this Bahag, let's see what I could do with that. And so
Yeah.
and then that's when me and you started talking, and I kind of did that warrior,
Oh,
uh,
yeah, yeah. Good.
right?
Nice.
Right. And so I was like, okay, we could do this. So that's how your shoe kind of came together. But yeah, so the way to put a shoe together, it's kind of like you just get the sole and you have the pattern, you have a lasting board, and you kind of just put it all together. So the class was 4 days.
Wow.
Uh now it takes me about like a half days to complete a shoe.
Wow. That's impressive. That's
Yeah.
impressive. Yeah, and really the 4 days is introductory, and then it's on you to hone your skill. A lot
Yep.
of practicing after that,
A
right?
lot of practice.
So did you make a lot of like shit version of shoes first, and then? Yeah, I mean, dude, you're on like
Yeah.
Jedi shit right
Yeah.
now.
So I have the first shoe I made. All right. This is
Oh,
the first shoe I made. Um, like you
oh,
could, like you can't tell, but like the back is coming out right here.
yeah,
Um,
Merto
the
ones, man.
I
That's
know
awesome.
these are coming apart right here. But I mean, my instructor would he kept he kept on reminding me, he's like, this is your first shoe,
Yeah,
right? Your first shoe is supposed to look like this,
yeah,
right? Where the stitching is like way off and like all those things. But at the end of the day, when you're wearing it, people won't see that, right? It's
right,
like
right.
nobody's gonna say like, "Hey, bro, your stitching is off right there." I don't
Yeah,
think you should wear that, but I mean, so this is the first shoe.
yeah. It's a
Um,
good reminder how far you came, along.
yeah, exactly. And so I've probably made, so this year alone I made 28 shoes, and this is kind of
Dang.
my second year into
Wow.
kind of making shoes. Last
Yeah.
year I made myself shoes. I made Taha some shoes, and then for Christmas gifts I made like all my sisters and
Freaking dope.
uh,
One of a kind.
mom some shoes, and so it's been fun.
Yeah. Hey, do you
Yeah,
have a industrial sewing machine?
yeah,
Those things
yeah.
are probably expensive, right?
Yeah, I have one right here.
Oh man.
Um, yeah, I think it'll cost me maybe around 2000.
Yeah. Wow. Is that
Yeah,
any of the stuff you do on the show hand stitched, or is it all machine done?
machine done, machine done.
Okay. Yeah, it's super cool. And so like I saw the shoots that you did for maybe your cousin or friend, the San Diego Padres one. So did you repurpose a jersey?
Yeah,
Or man,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
dope.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so yeah, for that one, she's a huge Padre fan, goes to all the games, maybe not all the games, a lot of the games. She was my secret Santa, and I was like, well, I'm gonna
dude.
make her you.
What a dope gift.
Yeah, so Cyrus, one of Cyrus's jerseys is too small on him, so I
Yeah.
just repurposed it. And it came out dope. I was just like,
Super sick. Yeah.
yeah, one of the first time, or I started doing like the insoles, kind of like how I did yours, like
Yeah.
trying to
That's
design the insoles and
I know. It's like, God damn,
yeah,
you're doing like I didn't expect you to do the inside of the shoe too.
yeah.
That's some cool shit. The only question I have for you is that I was like, God damn, these fucking Memph ones are dope, man. Is this the same Bahagi he used to put his balls on in college, dude?
No, 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 no. No, that one's at
I
home.
said that totally kidding though, but I was like,
That one's in San Diego. I promise. I promise. The funny thing
be
is, the
honored.
funny thing, the funny thing is, I I was out when you said you were gonna do the podcast. I was like, man, he's gonna ask that. I know he's gonna
Oh,
ask.
did you? Oh shit! And I had to test that question too. I was like, "Hey," I asked Joel too. I was like, "You think it'd be funny if I ask him that shit?" I said, "You know, I'm
Yeah,
just gonna ask him. It is a
yeah,
joke,
yeah,
man."
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So that's hilarious. But
yeah. Yeah,
I
that's
can't
funny.
wait. We'll do it
Yeah,
again,
no,
man.
I
The
mean,
collaboration was dope.
I I was excited to make you one, especially when you add or I I think I always whenever someone says, "Oh, dope shoe," I'm always like, When are you gonna get one?" Right? Or whatever. And you were like,
Yeah.
"Let's do it." And I was like, "Wait, what?"
Well,
For
hey, I
real?
was like, I wanted to like, I'm big of supporting businesses of all
Yeah.
kinds, and like, I mean, you really got to put your money where your mouth is. That's why I was like, yo, let me send you a deposit right now. Let's do it, man.
I was like,
And so that was my stamp of guaranteeing my commitment.
man, I was nervous. I was like, "Oh, what if you?" Because you so typically when I make a custom shoe,
Yeah,
um, it's either someone says, "Hey, make me a shoe," and then I show them kind of the leather, and they pick the leather,
yeah,
right? And then I'll just make it. But this was like themed, right? It was kind of
yeah,
like, and I think I'm starting to do that a little bit more, where it's like taking someone's personality, right?
yeah.
Like and understanding, okay, what is it that you want on this shoe, right?
Great
So
point.
one of my first shoes that I did for somebody like that
Mhm.
was it was his dad's death anniversary,
Oh shit.
and
Okay.
he wanted a custom shoe with a barong, right? It was his dad's
Ooh,
barong. He
dang.
sent he sent me the barong, and he said the only thing I want is to have the barong as well as I think it was his birthday on one tab and then uh his death date on the other one, right? And
Oh wow.
so I was able to get that embroidered, and it kind of just like, you know, kind of just like feeling of who he is, who his dad is, and kind of like made this shoe, right? A very classy looking
Yeah.
Air Force One. And so I was able to do that, right? Another shoe that I did was that Tribe Called Quest, right? So the
Oh my God.
yeah, yeah. So the Tribe Called Quest, it was
Do you have it with you right now? It's funny
no,
your
no,
kids
no,
are.
no. I sent it. I sent it.
Oh, it
I
was a
sent it to
gift.
them. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I
So
thought it was for your son.
so somebody messaged me, like a friend
Dude.
from college, and she wanted to get something for her husband's 50th birthday, right?
Oh my God, those are
Huge.
freaking
I
sick.
think he owns like a record store up in Sacramento, like huge into hip hop.
Yeah,
So
dude.
when people ask for like themes like that, I'm like, oh shit, I gotta step up my game, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So I mean, you look on the internet to see, okay, what's out there right now, right?
yeah,
Um, and I mean, there's a lot of people that paint, right? Paint customization, it's kind of like I'm not that detailed of a painter where I could paint like people's faces and stuff like that. I
yeah,
could just,
yeah.
right. I feel more comfortable making a shoe from scratch than painting, which is kind of like amazing, right? It's like, right? But so I just kept making stuff, right? And just adding, and then it just came out to look like that.
It's
And
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, you
but
brought up a good point, man. As we got into the interview, you mentioned that you kind of started with painting and then you got into shoe deconstruction. And then now you started talking about how I'm trying to create these shoes using the personality of the person getting understand. So I thought it was just a great picture of the growth that you're going through as become really, really deeper into shoe custom. That's amazing, man. What are your long term goals? Do you want to expand the business? Are you good where you're at? Well,
um, I mean, I think that's a great question. This is the first year I've done it, right? And
right.
and there was no goals, there was no expectations, right? It was kind of like, let me see where I can get to. Um, and I actually switched my jobs, right? My real job, that so that I could have a little bit more flexibility. My
Okay.
job that I had previous to this, I was a supervisor, had to manage people,
Yeah.
and I was expected to go into the office and kind of like, I was like, okay, I don't think I could do that while, trying to see where I could take this shoe thing, right? So I was
Yeah.
able um to switch to a job where I wasn't managing anyone.
Okay.
The it was a little different. A lot more flexibility, still remote. And so I
Yes.
was I was able to kind of like whenever I had, free time, just start creating, right? And having everything in the room next to me, it's kind of like when I log off, then I could just start working on things.
Yeah.
And so the expectation was just to see, okay, can I sell something? One,
Yeah.
what else can I sell? Right. So like I was talking a little bit about, when I buy a shoe, I take the whole thing off and then I don't use any part of that shoe.
Yeah.
Right. And it's kind of like, well, what can I do with it? So I think I threw some
Yeah. The
in
wallets, right?
the wallets,
They're
right?
dope, man.
So making these little Nike card holders, right?
Yeah.
Where
That's original skin?
Yeah, so
Okay.
so this is the shoe, right? But this is leather from extra leather that I have, right? So
Oh,
I was able to start making these, right?
I
And
like that,
then
man.
and then I posted on Instagram and it was like, okay, who wants wallets?
Yeah.
I sold some. And then one thing that I love about DC, they're really big on like markets, like small local business markets. My neighborhood, they started throwing these Thursday night markets
Yeah.
during the summer. And I was able to join them, right?
Okay.
And and then I was able to start selling at these markets,
Damn, that's dope.
and a part of it wasn't really like to like be like, all right, buy all my stuff, but I really wanted to showcase kind of that shoe customization, right?
Yeah.
And get people interested in it. If they didn't buy shoes then, it's like they might in the future, right? So it was
Yeah.
kind of like saying, okay, I do have this business. If you're interested in a shoe, hit me up, follow me. But
Yeah.
also, here's some wallets and passport holders and things like that. Um, that I have because, I mean, why not make them and sell them, right?
Yeah.
And so I was able to do that, right? So I think the next for 2025 really is to continue, right?
Yeah.
Um, build that brand and see what else I can make, right? Uh, it's funny because my wife is an accountant, right?
Okay.
And she was like, you better start selling that stuff and show a loss so so write everything off and so you don't have to pay, so much in taxes, right? And I was like, oh, okay, and I would have never kind of thought to start a business if she
Without her.
didn't, right? And she's like, you know what? This could sell. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that, right? And then being able to sell, wallets, shoes, uh on the market,
Yeah.
um, I was able to kind of like buy, the shoe last, right? The shoe patterns, I bought an embroidery machine, and it's kind of like,
Yeah.
even though I didn't, make a bunch of money, I was able to kind of like,
Set your
um,
foundation. Yeah.
yeah, set that foundation and
Yeah.
see,
Heck yeah.
okay, you know what? What else can I do with all these machines that I have now, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, the response has been great, man. I've been watching and just now that I'm really into what you're doing, I just see all the amazing designs and yeah, I mean the feedback is great, so it's exciting. I saw Matt bought a pair of shoes, and then
Yeah.
all the wicked designs that you've done. I just really enjoyed, and I can't wait. I feel you too, man. Right, like you mentioned, we talked about this earlier. I've been doing the podcast for a little bit over a year, and so I needed that time to, like you, build the foundation, figure out what I want to do, where I want to take it.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's interesting to see. I'm excited to see where this goes, and man,
Hey,
I know. Just like you said, man, once that shoe gets into the market, it's gonna be crazy, man. It's wildfire. So I got my Memforce ones, man. Before, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
let's
before
go.
before your prices become astronomical and I can't afford them anymore.
Nah, nah. Yeah, I want to make my shoes accessible.
Yeah, yeah, they're dope, man. Really, really cool, man. So yeah, I'm surprised you have your family members just hitting you up all the time, and
No, I'm like, come on, like my best friends. I'm like, come on, hit me up.
oh, super
No, no,
nice,
no, no.
man.
But
What
yeah,
about for you? Are you making? Have you made? What's the last pair of shoes you made for you?
it's funny. So like a lot of the shoes that I make, I'll have this idea, and then I'm like, okay, size, because I have a bunch of shoes that I don't use, so I just use the soles. And then I'm like, then I finish, and I'm like, let's see if I could sell this, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. What
So let me see if I
there?
have.
What was the pair that you had on there? It was like a, I can't remember if it was like Haritos or it was like jasmine rice or
Oh, yeah, the rice, the jasmine rice. That's the one I gave Matt.
those were freaking
Yeah, 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 yeah,
awesome,
yeah.
bro.
So I made a pair of shoes for Filipino American History Month.
Whew.
Um, so I made these.
Oh,
So
sick.
so I used kind of that Bapesta design
Yep,
with the star. So it got the two stars right there, and then there's a third star right here,
that's
kind of in
crazy,
there,
man.
and then the
The
sun.
Filipino sun, yeah,
Yeah, so I made two pairs. I made like a small size, women's size, and then I made these ones. Someone actually bought the woman's size.
sick.
Um,
They're
and I was
freaking
like,
amazing.
they're dope, but I was trying to push these, but never sold these. But yeah, sometimes I'll just like it just to get that creative juices flowing, right? It's kind
Yeah,
of like that saying, idle hands is the devil's playground, right?
yeah,
It's kind of
yeah.
like
Good point.
I don't want to be idle, right?
Yeah,
Especially being, trying to be a creative, right?
yeah,
I I definitely think that after high school, after college, going into the real world,
yeah,
we kind of lose that sense of creativity,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, great point. Yeah,
In college, I was very active with was the FSA, Filipino
yeah,
Student Association, doing dances, acting, whatever I could do, and kind of you just lose that creative juices sometimes when you're doing your 9 to 5, right? And I
yeah,
think this definitely has helped where I'm like, okay, I'm more than my job, or I'm more than just, a father raising a kid or whatnot. So sometimes I have an idea. I'm like, let me put,
yeah,
kind of like, you and music, put pen to
yeah,
paper, right? And then you just go, right? And whether it's to to make it to sell, or to make it just to make it, sometimes you have to do that, right? So a lot of
yeah.
the shoes that I have sitting are just shoes that I've made. Those are the ones that I bring to the markets and
Yep,
show people and say, hey, these are custom made. Some people will buy them, some people will just look and try to understand that process.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, for me, it's not really about, ultimately selling them. It really is about like having that creative outlet, that sometimes you don't get,
Yeah.
at a real job. Hey,
That's another great point, man. That sometimes some of them will sit, and sometimes the music I make will only hit certain populations, right? So it's like I feel like every shoe has a special owner that's out there as like as
yeah.
a music who's that one person I'm with, man, and it means the world, man. So that hey, super cool. I love the creativity. Where are you marketing your stuff at right now? Is it just the Instagram account?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
Instagram. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, what is it? What's the handle?
It's Kickztopher with
Yep.
a underline after R.
Okay. And they can hit you up on their direct, right?
Yeah,
Work with
yeah.
you there. Oh
They
yeah.
can just hit me up, let me know.
Oh man. Hey, I love everything that you're doing with the business. And again, man, I'm gonna sit and think about what version two will look like. But it's been super
Yeah.
cool, man. Super proud to see you just doing this thing and the
Hey, I
business
appreciate it, man.
and what it's becoming. It's really exciting.
Yeah, I'm just following you, man. You've been doing music since we graduated, which is amazing.
And
You
I took a
I mean,
long. I wish I didn't take a long break though, man. I took like one of doing the arm. That's cool, man. Like I need that
come back.
outlet.
It comes back. It
Uh,
comes back, right?
yeah, yeah, indeed. So super cool, man. I agree with you 100%. If you get tied up with your 9 to 5 and family stuff, sometimes you lose that creativity, man. And I think at an older age, I realized like I need that, you know, I need that
Yeah.
opportunity to just go vent, do something else, and just express my creative side. So super cool, man. I'm in line with you. Hey, do you zone out to any sort of music when you're doing shoes? What are you listening to?
I listen to slow jams.
Do you really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I do the same thing when I'm
90,
driving. 90s, huh?
90 slow jams. I listen to, some Hawaiian reggae, some J
Yeah.
Book. What? Yeah, even when I work out,
Okay.
I'll listen to slow jams. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love me some 90s slow jams.
That's what I have to listen to on a long drive, which is weird, right? It's
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because people are like, aren't you sleepy? Don't you get sleepy when you listen to that? And you're like,
gets me pumped
no,
up.
man. Exactly,
I
right?
don't know
You're like,
why. It
yeah,
just does.
yeah,
Yeah.
some Jodeci, some Tevin Campbell,
Oh
come on,
yeah.
FWV, weak. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
no, just zone out.
Yeah, that's funny though. Working out, so I know you're a bit of a power lifter too, right? And did you compete at one point, or is it just all
I competed
okay?
once back in 2019, I believe.
Okay, what's that like? How did you get into that?
The my cousin was into it,
Okay,
and kind of inspired me to kind of try, right? And I feel like working out for me is like, if you have that goal, the end goal, right? Not like I want to lose 30 pounds, but like, all right, I want to join a competition. How do I get to that point, right? I
yeah,
want to run a marathon. How do I get to that point, right? So it's kind of like this goal, end goal. Lifting, like, going to the gym and just having that same workout routine, you
yeah,
know. I was like, okay, how can I improve, right? And so I was like, all right, let's set that goal of competing and then you know, take it from there, right? So I competed once, which was fun. But then after that, had the kid, pandemic happened, kind of like lost the not motivation, but kind of like the momentum of continuing working out. But whenever I hit the gym, I still kind of lift like a power lifter and not
oh
like
wow,
I'm
go
like,
heavy.
all right, let me hit 405 real quick.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll hit 405. I'm like, oh, let me put 50 more pounds on here. Then hit that. And I'm like, oh shit, right? And it's still fun. My bench is weak though. My bench is
yeah.
really
Working out has been a regimen in your daily life, so it was cool. That was
yeah.
another thing that's pretty cool. Powerlifting, that I saw you do that for a while, but man, all around, just appreciate the opportunity
Of
to
course.
speak with you about your business. It's very exciting. As you mentioned, I'm starting to get out of the music thing and just talk about shit that really interests me. And so that was really interesting. And thanks for helping me to understand what it's like to customize this. Very hard to do.
Oh, of course, man. And I appreciate you, commissioning me to make a shoe, right?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. You got your own Memphis range Jordan ones, man.
All right, baby. They're dope, man. Yeah, really, really cool, man. I was happy with the way they turned out.
Oh, I appreciate it. I appreciate
Well, hey man, I love to close the interview out with just some fun
it. Okay.
questions. But before I do that, hey, your choice of shoe, are you always using Nikes or are you doing you can do any? I'm sure you can do any, but
Well, the only patterns I
Hurricanes.
have are Nikes. I know there are some companies that are some people that sell different patterns. I
Yeah,
just haven't got into it. It's kind of like
I was just
what I
curious.
have are Nikes, right? And I like working on Nikes. I mean, I
I like
think
the
they're
Nike. The Nike flips just look
yeah.
cool, man.
Yeah, and also I mean, some sneakerheads might say that, Nike is dead, right? The culture is dead, but or the brand is kind of, dying.
Okay.
But I feel like Nike in general, compared to a lot of these other sneaker
Yeah, iconic
brands,
man.
they're iconic, right?
Yeah,
And it's not because they sold a shoe, they sold the culture,
that's
right?
right. Just
And
do it.
when you think of your youth, when you think of hip hop, when you think of, skaters, right?
Yeah,
There are other brands, but at the end of the day, you think, okay, Nike, right? Nike
yeah.
SB with the
That's some Nikes.
um yeah, I mean Air Force Ones,
Yeah,
you think of Nelly, right? Or
yeah.
or even,
Right.
there's so many hip hop collaborations with Nike that have happened where
Yeah,
Nike exists within that hip hop culture because
yeah.
you know
Great point.
they they exist in that same world, right?
Yeah. Hey, yo, it's gotta be Nike for me. They look dope, man.
Oh, I
So
know.
super cool. Well, hey man, let's get into some of these
All right,
funny questions real
let's,
quick.
let's do it.
What's your choice between Filipino spaghetti and palabok?
Palabok.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I
Uh,
like that crunchiness. You put that little
chicharron,
uh,
huh?
chicharron on top.
Yeah.
Oof.
All right. Well, all right. How about chocolate chip or ube?
Oh, chocolate chip.
What?
Yeah, man.
Really?
Chocolate chip cookies. Oof.
Over ube?
Yeah, I mean, I
You're not.
could.
You're not yet. That's ube's played out, right? It's still new to the American
Oh no,
population.
I like ube, but you can't. Like, I feel like a chocolate chip cookie I could have anytime, right?
All
Like ube,
right.
I'll have like ube ice cream
Uh-huh.
or just like ube pandesal.
That's
Like ube
funny,
candy, I'm like, oh, it's too sweet, right? It's like
right? Okay. Hey, is it okay to save a parking spot by having somebody stand in it until you get there?
I want to say no, man. Like, come on, man.
They're
So
split. The crowd is split on that one.
we only have street parking here in where we live, and I'm like, man, I seen somebody do that. I'm like, man, no. I'm like, no, can't save a parking spot.
Okay. All right. That's a. That's a. Hey, that is funny as hell. Yeah. I don't know where I air. It depends on the side. I guess it depends on the area on that too, right?
Yeah, exactly. If I'm about to get shot, I'm like, oh, you can have that spot.
Yeah. Fuck it. Keep it. All
Keep it.
right.
I'll park all the way over there, walk a mile.
Favorite sports team. Oh, I guess in what sport? Let's go with basketball.
Oh, I'm a Laker fan.
All day?
Yeah, all
All
day.
day. Never shown
No, I,
allegiance
I
to
love
Clippers.
I love basketball,
Yeah.
but see, I'm a Laker fan where I'm like, if the team sucks, then I'm be like, man, the team sucks, right? I'm
You'll
not
still
gonna.
ride with them though.
I'll still ride with them, but
Yeah.
knowing that they're gonna lose. But I just like watching competitive sports,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Like if I know like my team sucks, then I'm not gonna be like, oh, they're gonna win it all. I'm be like, man, they suck. Let me watch people that are gonna win, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Well,
and
hey,
and just
Lakers is good though, man. So,
yeah, I mean,
but how do you feel about Filipinos starting to enter the NBA? Jordan
oh, I love it.
Clarkson. You love big
I
fan?
love it.
I know you're proud
Yeah,
because you have the shoes. You made some shoes for Filipino
yeah,
American History Month. And
you know,
so,
I I find it very refreshing, right? And
Yeah.
almost inspiring, right? So, I mean, me and you grew up in that same generation where we grew up not seeing Filipinos anywhere,
Right.
right? And our parents being like, okay, you're gonna be a nurse or something like that, right? But also push you to be creative, right? You're gonna take months and months of piano,
Yeah.
but you have to be a nurse. And it's like, but you didn't give me nursing lessons. You gave me piano lessons, right? But it's kind of like that idea of, okay, we want to show the next generation that there's
Yeah.
more to these technical skills that you are kind of like um boxed into, right?
Yeah.
Uh and I think one of the main reasons why I kind of got into custom shoemaking, right, was to show Cyrus, hey, there is that creativity that you can get into, right, where it's not
Yeah.
just a hobby, but if you really put your heart into it,
Yeah.
it could be a career, right? And so you see making it with singers, players, and you're like, yeah, let's get it. Let's get it, man, because we exist, especially in America. I feel like Filipino Americans exist with this duality of, am I Filipino enough or am I American enough, right? So it's
Yeah.
like we struggle with this, right? And it's kind of like your interest should be of what your family wants you to do, kind
Mhm.
of. You get that pressure, right? I think you had that pressure. I think a lot of
Sure.
people grow up with that pressure. But then you grow up in America where it's like so individualized, right?
That's
So
right.
it's but my dreams and my passions are to do this, right? And so there's that kind of struggle, that you have inside, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like that success really relies on just support, right? If
Yeah. I think so.
if
That's
if
key.
that's key, right? It is like if my child said, you know what, I want to really go into X, Y, and Z, right? Where it's not necessarily this, you know, 9 to 5 job, but they want to, pursue music, right?
Yeah.
Become a fashion designer. It's kind of like supporting them and showing them the way of how they can make it a success, right?
Yeah.
Whereas it was like, I mean, if I had shown interest in shoemaking when I was 18, I don't think my parents would have been like, okay, cool, right? Let's
Right.
do it. They would have been like, that's a hobby and not a job, right? So I think this is to show this is what you want to do. But if you want to, you know, do something else, then you can do that, right? And it's really that support, right? And I feel like, like you said, Phil Lam basketball players, Phil Lam anything, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of we as a community support that because it's like we didn't get that growing up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That out of the box. And that's a great point too. I think you two are similar in the sense that you never want to be put in a box or classified in one way. And so
Right.
maybe that's why I enjoy doing these things, but it makes it much more fun to do since the
Yeah.
typical person doesn't do this or that. But yeah, no, great point. And I think it's the support too. And yeah, no use in trying to make them become X, Y, and Z, right? You might as well like support, love your child, and
Yeah. Yeah.
help them
And you see
flourish and excel.
how far it goes.
And so, if you had a couple Filipino players playing on the Clippers versus the Lakers, would you choose for the Clippers to win? I'm
You
trying to
know what?
bait you right
Yeah.
now. I'm trying to bait you
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. You know what? I'll go for the Clippers. If they had
Oh,
Jalen Green, I'd be like, or I'd be like, all right, if Jalen Green scored 50 and still lost, I'd be like, yeah, hell yeah, right?
still a good
But
game, huh? I
still a
was
good
trying to
game.
bait you and test your loyalty to the Lakers.
Yeah. No, but I'm like, right now, I'm like, the Lakers aren't going to win. I mean, as a Laker fan, I'm like, we got to trade LeBron. A
Yeah.
lot of people will not like me saying this. Like, we got to get younger players. We got to be smarter, and they just never been like that.
But hey, man, great point, and thank you for the opportunity to just understand your craft and skill. And I look forward to what we'll do and what you will do with the business. It's exciting. With that, thank you for your time, especially on the weekend. Any final words before we close this amazing interview out?
No, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate it.
All
You
day.
know, it's amazing that you're still doing this after how many years, right? I mean, you back into music, like after you asked me to make the shoe, I started listening to your music again. I still remember when you and Evan first dropped Scorpion Circles. I was like a fanboy, like just trying to sell this CD. I
Oh,
remember
thank you.
those late nights
Yeah, meant a
with you
lot,
and
man.
Evan and just hanging out with you. I was never into emceeing. I could never do it like you guys, but
Oh,
it was
they were fucking
always
right there.
inspiring to be around you guys, and that's what I always appreciated about you, and you're always supportive, right? So and so I just want to say thank you and keep doing what you're doing because
Yeah,
it's
thank you.
inspiring. Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, let's inspire each other and continue to do so. Well, hey, brother,
Man.
I'll keep in touch. I can't wait to get this thing out. And
Yeah,
yeah,
of
hit up
course.
my boy, man, Kickztopher, man. Get some fucking fresh
Kickztopher.
pair of kicks,
Yeah.
man.
Buy some shoes.
All right.